And we're live.
And we're live. All right. Welcome to A World of Pets. This is on A World of Ability podcast on YouTube. And A World of Pets is sponsored by debspets.com. That's DEBSPETS.com. And we encourage the health and wellness of not only animals, but for people as well. And we do that through very specific mushrooms called the versicolor Coriolis mushroom. And there's supplements that you can take orally or put them, they have them in dog treats and all that stuff. So go visit devspets.com and show some love out there. Share this podcast out there so we can get the word out. But welcome in, Anthony. Tonight, I know we have a limited hangout, if you will. It's going to be a shorter episode, maybe. I don't know. I
Yeah.
can go long winded on this, but we're going to talk about next week's guest that we're going to have pre recorded. And I can't wait to hear about him.
Yeah. So she is, her name is Beth. She's a friend of mine. I've known her for many years. And she actually fosters dogs out here through the Pima Animal Care Center, which is where I got my dog, called Pack. And she's been doing the foster care for a few years now. And then she actually just took in from her ex husband one of her own dogs. So we're going to record with her on Friday. I'm just waiting for her to get back with me and verify the time that we're going to do it on Friday. But that will be a conversation I really believe a lot of people will enjoy about what does it take to foster dogs? Would you recommend fostering dogs? How did you get into it? Does it pay? All that stuff. And so, um, we're going to have all those questions and we're going to be able to talk to her. And I'm really looking forward to it. She's been a friend of mine for many years.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one because my cousin fostered dogs for quite a while too. So I can't wait to get her on. She's just busy because she opened 3 new businesses. So, but yeah, we'll get her on.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds great, man. And again, sorry to those that are listening. I'm not saying okay to David. It's just my kids. I'm parenting. What do they call it? I'm multitasking. I'm parenting and podcasting. So
Come on, rookie, get with the program.
yeah, come on. I had 11 kids in my house today, 9 teenagers and my 2 youngest for a spring break party my kids were having. So it was an interesting day. Lots of
Those
noise.
are always fun.
5
Those are the
hours,
best days.
5 p.m. So
Yeah, my daughter would bring her friends over, and they would do dress up in cosplay for their anime favorite anime characters, and then they'd go
oh yeah,
walk around the neighborhood and go to the creek and do all that stuff and run wild. And I was like, do your thing, just go have fun.
yep.
So, what do we want to talk about tonight, Anthony?
Well, we could talk about a number of different things, funny things that dogs or pets in general have done. We don't just have a dog in this house; we have a cat, and it is a very small cat, and it's a very odd cat. And so we can talk about that. We can talk about interesting things they've done. We can just do some more precursor to next week. Whatever you're feeling, my brother. And that's
Sure,
you know.
sure.
We could
Well,
talk about the Denver Broncos off season, which was really good in free agency. We could talk about that. The Bills, not so much. I wish they'd have done a little more on defense.
yeah, well, I mean, sports is sports. You never know what you're going to get out of it. So, but yeah, no, there's so many funny things I can talk about. It takes me back to when Duke, Peyton's dad, he was the first dog that I had, and when he was less than a year old, um, we lived in Woodland Park, and we had a Albuquerque low
Oh
snowstorm
yeah,
come through, and we got like 2.5 feet of snow up there. And so I took him outside and I just dropped him off the deck. And he was bouncing out of the snow
yeah.
and he just loved it. He was a long haired
Well,
dachshund
Cobb
and
is
he
an
absolutely
Arizona
loved
dog.
it.
I got her here at the local clinic here or the local shelter here in Tucson. So she's an Arizona dog, and of course, any regular subscriber of the show, any regular subscriber of the show knows that we spent 13 months living in Washington. Man, that first snow, I have videos of her the first time she ever saw snow in her life. At first, she was really like, what is this that just fell from the sky? And then she just loved it, man. She didn't care if it was 3 o'clock in the morning and snowing. She wanted to go out and run in it and chase a deer and do all kinds of things.
Yep. Yep. Dogs are fun like that. How did you teach your dogs how to play fetch?
She's really bright. Honestly, it was not training her was not difficult at all. And of course, I had a little bit of help up there until that place in the Northwest got shut down. But even they said when they took her in for those few weeks that they had her, they said she was really, really easy to train because she basically had all the basics down. Like she was a very smart dog, very cooperative. I would just throw it. See, she's always had this habit of, even when she was a puppy, I have a video of her and my kids were running around the apartment complex where we lived at the time. And she was staying right with them. Like she wasn't running off. She wasn't going seeing other kids. So she always stays pretty much near us. So what I would do is just throw whatever, a ball or a stick, and I would just throw it. And then as soon as she picked it up, I'd call her back and I'd pet her, and then, drop it as I'm pulling it out of her mouth. And then she pulled it out of her mouth. Man, we wore her out at the park today, but just playing fetch with her. But that's what I did. Just repetition. You know what they say, even with kids, they say it, but with dogs, I've seen it to be true. Is repetition's the best teacher, right? So just over and over and over again, doing the same thing, giving the same command. And for her, it didn't take long. Just like with her, I say sit, and then she sits, and I tell her not to get up on people unless I go like this, and she puts her paws up here so I can scratch her a little farther up. And it's just repetition of doing that over and over again, and they get it.
Yep. Yep. That's it. I got a Peyton, my oldest dog, that he lived to 16. Uh, was so much fun as a puppy,
Mhm.
and he played fetch and everything right up until the end. But I'll never forget the day that I came home. I lived in a mobile home,
Mm.
and I had a couple roommates, but my best friend was there, and she's like, "Dave, come here, sit down." And so I was like, "Okay." So I sat down on the couch, which was adjacent to the front door. She's like, "No, wait, go close the front door." I'm like, "It's hot though." She's like, "Just trust me." And so pulls out the tennis ball, and she calls Peyton over. Mind you, he was half blind, just like me,
Mm.
one-eyed man with a one-eyed dog, kind of a country song. So, but she cut the bottom out of a gift bag and tacked it to the front door.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, "Look," and she threw the ball, made the points, and Peyton went and found the ball, and he brought it back and he sat it right at her feet. I was like, "No way. You did that in one day? You
So,
trained a blind dog how to play fetch and
yeah.
leave it at your feet
Well,
in one day."
between the
And we
two of
would,
you, you guys had a good set of eyes
yeah, together.
together. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we saw eye to eye. Yeah.
Oh man, have you thought any more about getting another pet?
I've thought all about it, but fortunately for me, not for my friend, but my friend's had surgery and had rehab, so I've been dog sitting his dog,
Hmm.
and she's been a
Oh,
little chunky monkey because he's a senior citizen and can't get out and walk her much and all that stuff. So she's a little chunky monkey. She's a little mix of a Chihuahua, maybe a pug, maybe a little
oh,
something
I like.
else.
I always
So
wanted to when I retire. I'm retired now, and it didn't happen. But when I retired, and I mean another 15 years from now, when I'm actually retired in my mid 50s, I want to get either one of those camper vans or an actual mobile home. And I always wanted to get a little pug named Pugsley because what else would you name a pug? And we would just travel around the country, me and Pugsley.
there you go.
Um, but no, you were talking about playing fetch. Cobb will do that. She'll come back now and she'll put it at your feet if she drops it, which means she wants you to throw it again.
Yep.
But then she gets in these moods where she just wants to walk around with whatever in her mouth, whether it's her ball or one of her, like she has this little bunny stuffed animal, one of her stuffies, or whether it's a stick. Now, sticks, her thing with sticks is you'll throw it, she'll pick it up, and then everybody standing around her, she'll go to until they say, "That's a nice stick," and then she'll drop it. She literally wants everybody around her to tell her what a nice stick she has. And she thinks every stick she literally prances around. She thinks every single stick she puts in her mouth is the greatest discovery since electricity. She's like, "This is great." Everybody should compliment my stick. So she'll do that, man. She's just chock full of personality, and she'll walk around, and like I said, she'll prance around with it. But she's really got to be in the mood. She really does. There's times where you'll throw the ball, she'll just go get it once, and then she won't let you have it back. She's just like, "No, I don't want to play. I just want to carry the ball around." And I'm like, "Okay," it's like so she gets in her moods. She's a
Yeah.
female. Anyway,
Well, my favorite thing that happened with Peyton was I used to have friends that lived in Rainbow Valley up in Divide, Colorado, and we'd go up there on the weekends. And during the summer, we would go tubing 2 or 3 times a year, and I would literally get in the water, put Peyton poo on my lap, and float down the river. And the place where we were going was up by 11 Mile Canyon, coming
okay.
out through Lake George and Florissant, and we go about just over a quarter mile, I think, is how far we go before the rapids kicked in. And but there's a campground about halfway down, and every time that I would go down there and have him sitting on my lap, people would come running out with their cameras to take pictures of Peyton. It was so much fun, and he hated getting in and he hated getting out, but he enjoyed the ride. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, Cobb likes riding in the car, but the thing she liked up on the ranch when we lived on the ranch was she loved riding on the four wheeler with me, but she'd only ride about halfway to wherever we were going, and then she would jump down and she'd sprint the rest of the trip. And
Oh wow,
if the speedometer on that four wheeler was accurate, that dog can sprint at just over 20 miles an hour
wow,
for about a solid 2 or 3 minutes at that pace, just sprinting at 20 miles an hour. And I'm like, holy cow. That's why,
yeah,
like, when she's out here, I can mostly walk her without a leash. But I got a couple neighbors that she really likes to get attention from, and they'll give her the attention when they see her. Um, but if that neighbor's out and I have her off the leash, she takes off. And once she takes off, there's no catching her. I just wait until she catches up with that person. And I catch up with her, put the leash on, and finish the walk. But it's like, yeah, once she's gone, she's gone. There's no catching her.
yeah, yeah. I get that.
Um,
Do you have a specific whistle or a call that you do?
yep.
Yeah,
I go, and she knows. Vroom, she comes. As a
yeah.
matter of fact, she's upstairs in my daughter's room, and of course, dogs have good hearing. So I bet you any second now I'm going to hear her trying to get out of that room because I just did that. But if I do that, like when I was on the ranch was 40 acres. Well, 20 acres. We had 20 acres, and neighbor had 40, so 60 acres total. Anywhere in the 60 acres she was, if she heard, she'd come. Like no matter
Yeah.
where she was. I mean, sometimes you had to give her a minute or two, because she could have been off somewhere out in the woods or whatever, or up on one of the hills. But yeah, if I did that within 2 or 3 minutes, you'd start seeing her. Here she comes. So as long as she can hear it, she'll come to it. The kids have a friend who lives up the road, and I get along with his parents just up the road here from where we live. So we hang out with them just about every other Friday. And I'll have the dog out there, and she'll be laying with me for the most part. But every once in a while, she'll wander off because she stays near the kids too. What I love about this dog is even at the park today, my youngest daughter, who's 8 years old, she's my middle child, but youngest daughter, she wandered off and she was just kind of doing her own thing, sitting over there, just kind of playing to herself. And the dog just sat right there with her, would not leave her side until she came back to the group. So anyway, she'll be off with the kids somewhere, and I'll need to find her because I'm like, where'd she go? So I'll do that whistle, and she'll come from wherever she is in the complex. She'll just whoop, here she comes. So she's really good
Yeah,
about it.
that's awesome.
Unless she
Yeah,
sees
mine's
that one
mine's
person that she wants to go say hi to, then she acts like I don't even exist.
yeah. And what astounds me is yours is way different than mine. And when you go to the dog park, because I always take my dogs when they're puppies to the dog park to get them socialized, get them
Mhm.
used to big dogs and all that stuff. And but mine's just that's it, and they know. They're like, "Where did that? Where'd he go?" And they'll come right back to me. So, but I've heard every different people in that vicinity of the dog park all have a different call for their dogs, and their
Mhm.
dogs automatically know it, and that's a beautiful thing to have.
Yeah. So you were talking about living in a trailer. When I lived on my parents' ranch, of course, I was in my own trailer. They had a trailer on not that far from where I was, and I had my trailer, and her and I would live in that trailer. And I did several of the podcasts from that trailer. But of course, it wasn't very big, so she couldn't do anything other than just kind of lay around the pot, the trailer, and she'd lay up in the bed with me. So we currently live in a 1,500 square foot townhouse over here in the Tucson area. And man, when she gets the zoomies in here, she acts like this thing's a mansion. Compared to that trailer, it is. So she's just up the stairs, down the stairs, around the living room, up the stairs, down the stairs, around the living room. Now I'm like, man. So she loves it. And it happens about once a night. She gets the zoomies.
Yep.
Okay, here she goes.
Yeah. I got two other stories I want to share about Peyton, but I'll
Go
do
ahead.
one and you can do another. So I was sitting there, had to go to the bathroom, and I had a little water closet at the top of my stairs at the condo I was staying at. And Peyton always came. If he didn't know where I was, like if I go whatever, he'd be sniffing around finding out where I am. You could always hear his nose right at the bottom of the
Mhm.
door, right? And then the next thing I hear, I was telling him, I'm like, I'll just be a minute, buddy. I'll be right out. And I couldn't reach the knob to let him in the bathroom. I'll be right out. And then I hear thump, 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 thump. He had rolled all the way down the stairs
Oh no.
and walked
Oh
away
no.
from it.
Oh
Tough
man.
little sucker.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's the other one?
The other one is okay. So I had Duke and Bella were Peyton's mom and dad, and still going back to the same trailer home. The I had a nice fenced in yard. It was nice, and during the summer, I'd just leave the front door open, let them go in and out wherever they want. They'd bark at the kids. Kids would come out. Can we pet them? I don't know. They might bite. They might not. But I had a toy. Let's see. Do I have it? All right. It was a stuffed squirrel. They pulled all the stuffing out, and so it was just the floppy part of the toy, right? And that was the toy that all three of them played with. I'd throw it, they'd fight over it, they'd bring it back to me, and I'd throw it again, they'd fight over it and bring it back to me. And so one day I hear this ruckus out back under my carport where I had all the wood stored. Dogs just went on, were going off for like 20 minutes. I'm like, what is going on? And so I finally yelled at them hey, get your butt inside. Come on. And Bella came tramping in all proud. She's like, look what I found. And she set what I thought was the toy down, and it was a real squirrel. I didn't know it until I picked it up, and it was ripped to shreds.
Nice. Nice. Yep. Yep.
Dachshunds are killers, man. Dachshunds are killers.
Oh, dachshunds are, yeah, people don't understand. I mean, they're cute and everything. They look like little slinky dogs, but those dachshunds, I had one way back when, like 20 years ago in college. And that thing was an interesting animal, I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
Little
They're so
dachshund.
much fun. I love dachshunds.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love all dogs. You know, any dog that's been mostly trained is a good dog. So
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was talking to this woman this week, and she's talking about she has this one dog, and she got it, like, she took it in for somebody. And this dog is horrible. It's like a biter. Like he keeps biting and everything. But she didn't have the heart to do anything to this dog, and she didn't want to take it to the shelter. So she's just like waiting for this crotchety old dog to die that just bites everybody. And I mean, it's like it's good to her and her son, but that's it. Anybody else that comes in the house, she's like, huh? He's like, that dog's gonna go after it, man. She calls it her little punk. She's like, that's my little punk right there. Like, okay,
every tool has a function.
yeah, right, yeah, yep.
Cool. Let's expand on our guest that we're going to be interviewing on Friday a little bit, and tell people where they can reach out to you, what you're doing for your enterprises coming up with your nonprofits. all
Okay.
that stuff.
Yeah, I'm having
And
a kind of a pre-surgery trial done on the 17th. Other than that, I'm waiting as soon as that's done to go visit one of the organizations I've been made aware of in the last few months. I actually want to see them in person, and hopefully within the next, I don't know, year or so, we get something off the ground here in Tucson. But anyway, so I anticipate within the next 4 to 6 weeks going out to see them out in Kentucky. But I've gotten the name of what my nonprofit ranch is going to be. So it's going to be an equine-assisted therapy ranch, like I said. And I've arranged 2 trips that hopefully go through this summer, depending on when I have the actual surgery to the trial I'm doing on the 17th. And they are equine assisted therapy ranches. One of them works specifically with veterans groups, like what I want to do. So I'm just going to go out there and spend a week with them, just basically watching their operations, seeing how they work, how do they bill the VA, how do they get clients through the VA, how do they do all that stuff. Are they required through the VA to have different types of therapists on a ranch and chaplains and so on and so forth, and what's required. Excuse me. Then the other one is it's basically a hobby ranch, but his horses are considered compatible safe, which means his horses can be ridden and interacted with by the general public, and they'll be covered under insurance because they're called compatible safe horses. And so that's what you need to get if you're going to have a horse that interacts with the public. So I'll be going out to those 2 different ranches as well, hopefully this year within the calendar year of 2025. So those are the 3 trips I'll be making. Helping veterans as a wounded and as a disabled veteran myself. Helping veterans is very near and dear to my heart. Obviously, I live every day in chronic pain. My body's riddled with arthritis. I've got surgically repaired bones that never really got repaired.
right.
And so I understand what it's like to spend every day. My migraines seem to be coming back. Matter of fact, I was crippled last week with a migraine, just really off of my feet and couldn't do anything. So I know what it's like. I know the frustrations. I know the ins and the outs of it. And I know what it's like to live with those kind of things. But I also want to partner with, I know that not every day of the year and every week of the year am I going to be able to work with veterans. So I'm going to partner with nonprofits like churches and boys' homes and things of that nature and help them out as well. Give them some place to have people come. Maybe even with churches, do fun things like couples retreats where you get the full cowboy experience with the chuck wagon and everything. You go out and camp for 2 or 3 days and have a little couples retreat and do all that stuff. So that's my goal. That's my vision. That's what I want to do. As far as that goes. As far as the guest next week, we'll be recording with her on Friday. Like I said, her name is Beth. She's actually a public school teacher out here in Arizona, not in a district where I live, but here in Southern Arizona. She's and it's one of the smaller districts around, but she's a teacher there, an elementary school teacher. And I've just interacted with her, met her over the years, and she just loves dogs and loves taking care of dogs. She has 2 kids. And of course, she has her kids 50-50 like I do. So obviously, when her kids are there, that's obviously what consumes her life. But when her kids aren't there, and her kids help out with the dogs, I'm sure, and we'll be able to talk to her about that. But when her kids aren't there, basically fostering dogs and consuming dogs is what she's all about. It's what she loves doing. And, it's going to be interesting to ask her questions. Like if you bring in a dog that's kind of skittish and shy and doesn't want to interact, and maybe it's not fully crate trained, when you're gone at school 8.5 hours a day, like how do you handle having a dog like that? So we'll be able to interact with her and ask her questions and get answers from her on those type of things. She's excited to talk about it. She's not excited to be on camera, but she'll be okay. She'll do just fine. If this face made for radio can be on camera, she can do it. So
I got an eye made for radio too, bro. So it's good.
so she can do it too. But yes, so I'm excited for us to be able to sit down with her. I'm just waiting for her to confirm the time, and she is a teacher, so she is busy. But within probably by the end of today or sometime tomorrow, I'll be able to confirm the time with her, and then we'll interview her on Friday, and we'll drop the podcast. Our engineer will drop it on Tuesday.
Perfect. That sounds so wonderful. Anything else? Any contact information you want to put out there?
No, I just want to, as I do put out often, is just let anybody out there that happen to hear this and watch this and see this and know that you've got a friend in us and in me, and we
Yeah.
want to be here for you for whatever you need. Understand that life is worth a living, and when you think that nobody else wants to be there for you and listen to you and be that shoulder to cry on and that ear to listen, we're here. We want to listen
Yep.
to you, and we want to be an outlet for you, and we love you, and the Lord loves you most importantly, and so we want to speak that truth into your life.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. We got a lot of stuff we're working on for a separate podcast on this too. So keep an ear out, keep an eye out. That's my joke. And
Of
but
course,
we'll be back. But we got to thank our sponsors. Definitely thank you, Emily, for inspiring us to help you out over at World of Ability podcast on YouTube and over at World of Pets on YouTube. And thanks again for DebsPets.com. Debbie Hayes, you've been a good friend for me since my channel was taken down off YouTube, or not YouTube, but off of
Facebook.
Facebook during COVID. 2 days, two 2 years every day, as long as I had cell signal, I did it, and then got censored. So I guess talking about pets isn't against their policy.
Their community standards. Yeah. Yep. So
So, but everybody can find me if you want to find me on Facebook. You can find me at David Wolfram. That's Wolfrum. Send me a friend request. Send me a DM. Let me know that you found us on this podcast. If you need any kind of faith based or whatever, you just need somebody to talk to. Give me a call. We're here for you,
yep.
like you
And
said.
Sam, I'm on all the social platforms. Anthony Dunham is my last name. Just look me up, DM me. Uh, as I mentioned a week or two ago, I'd rather have a conversation with you at 3 a.m. than to wake up a few hours later and hear about you in the headlines. So
Yeah.
please feel free to reach out.
Yep. Yep. We're all here for you. All
All right.
right.
Well, we love you guys. We'll see you next time.
God bless everybody.
All right.